Hi guys, today we're going to do something a little different. It'll be a short video. I'm going to mount this onto this. And this is a piece of cold wax that I cut out of here. So I'm going to be able to get at least 3 more paintings out of this piece. You actually saw me work on this piece maybe 6 weeks ago, and I never did anything with it. So today I've decided to mount it. We have a holiday show here at the Millworks, and I need a bunch of 5x7s to put in the hallway for gifts. So I've decided to cut that one piece up. The things that you're going to need a brush, or you could use a spatula or a scraper or just about anything. I prefer using brush. This is just a personal preference. You're going to need something to mount it on. This happens to be an ampersand 5x7. It has an 1.5-inch cradle, and I like these cradled panels because I don't have to worry about framing them. What I'll do is after it's mounted, I will probably paint the edge black after I'm finished. And I always sign it on the back along with my card, and I'll put a little wire on it. So this is my cradled panel. I have what I'm going to use. I'm going to use Golden's heavy gel. This happens to be gloss. You could use matte, you could use satin, whatever you want. I like the heavier gel because it's thicker and has more bonding, I feel. And if you need to cut your piece, of course you need a pair of scissors and you need a brayer and a piece of wax paper or parchment. This is parchment paper. And I have wet my brush, so it'll be easier to clean after I use the gel medium. So here we go. And I put a piece of parchment down here so I can just spread it out onto the parchment and not worry about getting it all over my freezer paper. So, here we go. And you want to put a lot on. Now you can see why I have the parchment, so I can go out over the edges. Make sure that you cover those edges good in the corners, because if it's going to lift, that's where it's going to lift, on the edges. Make sure you have an even coat. Put some down here. And I always look at it from the side to make sure that I haven't missed an area, and I haven't. So I have this coated. Now I'm going to coat this, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. And there is some paint in this gel medium. I'm not worrying about that because it's not going to show. I use this gel medium as a glue. Making sure that I have an even coat, and I do. I'll make sure I have plenty on my corners. Now I'm going to marry this onto that. Let me cover this up. There is a little bit of an overlap, which is good because I wanted an overlap. That way what I'll do is I'll trim those edges after it's totally dry. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another piece of parchment paper. You could use wax paper as well. Just make sure that everything is down even, and it is. So I'm going to lay this on top, and I'm going to brayer it. I'm using a hard brayer. I'm going to brayer it out to the corner. This off. You can see some of the glue came out around the edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a wet rag. This is my, look at this filthy rag. Well, it's really just black paint. And I'm going to wipe off all of the excess. Could use a wet paper towel as well. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to brayer it one more time. To make sure I didn't move it. Looks good. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to lay it somewhere in my studio, face down on a piece of paper or a wax paper, and I'm going to weight it. Like, I won't weight it with this, I'll weight it with something heavier than this. And then tomorrow, when I come into the studio, all I have to do is trim around the edges and paint the sides and wire it, and it'll be ready to go. So that's all there is to it. Now, this is really bothering me because when I cut it so I would much rather have that circle up there, but it's not up there, so I have to live with it. So that's all there is to mounting. I hope you enjoyed it. Just don't forget, you turn it upside down on a piece of wax paper, weight it down with something heavy, and then you can take it up the next day, and you can see I have edges. I'll take a utility knife and cut off any excess, and then she'll be ready. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Have a good one.